Man, what a tough day. Normally we do the intro right here, so welcome inside the voice of college football, Arkansas. I'm your host, Austin Robbie. It feels unreal, right? And it's like this is why I like doing these reaction videos post game because it allows for just the unfiltered, unscripted talking points of what happened in today's game. And this one I'm just speechless, right? And it's like I shouldn't be because this is what Arkansas does. And man, as a fan, especially a longtime fan, this isn't new. It's not new at all. Arkansas loses 32-31 to the Memphis Tigers. Last drive of the game for the Razorbacks. We fumble again. Mike Washington Jr. this time. Just a absolute brutal ending. Call on the field initially was like knee was down, and I was just like, please, please be the case, or elbow down actually. And you just watch it back and you see him punch it out well before he falls to the ground, and it's just like it happened again. And then at the end of the game to get two stops and for third down, them to have their backup quarterback in, right? Lewis loses his helmet, so he's got to be out for the play. And dude comes in, it looks like we have him quite easily, and it's just absolute giving up on the play and just letting him get the first down. And then I don't the ending was really weird with the timeouts and the still running the football and not victory formation. I don't know what was happening there, but an absolute brutal ending. It's the exact same script of last week and amplified. I mean, so much worse, right? You're up, what was it, 28-17 at half, 11 points. They come back and they win. You get held to 3 points in the second half. They get 15. And then also for it to be a lesser opponent, like the Ole Miss game was on the road. So this game was too. Like it's not like we were playing the Ole Miss game at home. Like this was road opponents, and Memphis is objectively a worse football team than Ole Miss. And you lose. You have a first half lead by over 10 points, and you're playing against a group of five football team, arguably one of the best group of five football teams in the country. But still, like it's the exact same thing we went through last week. Watching it post the 2-minute warning, I was like, sweet, we're going to slow this game down and we're just going to kick a field goal and ice it. And they'll have maybe more than a few seconds, but we're going to give them under a minute, and then we're going to win this football game. And to fumble it, like I almost just wanted knee it, like genuinely in that situation once they have given up their time, some of their timeouts. Like that was just as bad of an ending as it could have been again. And what's tough is throughout that second half, you're just inching and inching them forward towards a victory. Like so many different plays there. We get to, they we'll break down the game because I hate even trying to talk about this game because this was so brutal. Like there's not a lot to talk about. I like when we win this football game to talk about some of the MVPs, some of the contributors to winning. And last week we did a little bit of that, obviously after a loss, but we really talked about why we lost the football game, who was responsible for the loss, and we're going to do that. But we're going to kind of go, I think, quarter by quarter and talk a little bit about each, like kind of the flow of the game and what could have been different. And moments maybe we should have leaned into a little more and where we kind of went wrong. And we'll do the same thing. We're going to talk about some of the spots, probably the three components that really lost us this football game. But I want to start at the beginning of this football game because it started as good as you could have, right? Taylor Green throws a 60-plus yard touchdown to Rohan Jones. He's wide stinking open, and you score. Then they go on a 13-play drive for about 5 minutes, and we hold them to a field goal. 7-3, fine start. Both teams go 3 and out. It's 7-3, and then we get the ball back late in the first quarter. About 6 minutes left. And Taylor Green, first play of that game, throws a ball deep right side to Omega Blake way too late. Honestly, he should have just took it off and run in that situation. And he just let the ball hung forever. And so that guy was able to come in and intercept the football, first play of that drive. So there's, I guess, the first mistake of the game. And then Memphis uses the remainder of the half or the remainder of the quarter and marches down and goes and scores a touchdown. So at the end of the first quarter, we're down 10-7, right? And it doesn't feel like to me that we've played worse than them to start. They've kind of like they had that 3 and out, but for the most part, it really was just two long drives. And so there's not much to me there where you just like, it's okay. It's a fine start. We're losing, but I'm not like down in the fact that like we're going to lose this football game. It's just like we made an interception play or we threw an interception that was a boneheaded play and we let them score. It's fine. It's 10-7. We start off the second half or second quarter. So then second quarter, we get the football and we go and march down the field and score a touchdown. We do it in 2 minutes and 43 seconds. This is the Braylon Russell touchdown. We looked good on that drive as well. Taylor Green made some passes. Taylor Green made some heck of some runs. He's a guy, and they were talking about on the broadcast, like averaging essentially a first down a run, which is incredible. I mean, he's the guy that's really kept us in this season. And we'll talk about more of him throughout this episode in the show. But like he really is the thing that is keeping us alive, and he's made plays and that are boneheaded, and that's really the deficit in some of these moments. But like at the end of the day, he is what's kept us alive in this season, and especially in this game. So we're up 14-10, right? And then we're taking on their offense, 3-and-out. So 14-10, 3-and-out. Then we go back and we score another touchdown. This is the Rohan Jones end around jet sweep touchdown. We had no problem scoring there. Multiple big chunk plays, including a 21-yard pass to C.J. Brown. And we're up 21-10. Great start. Then they get the ball. They go down. They have a fairly successful drive, but they ultimately miss a 46-yard field goal. Then we get the ball back. 3-and-out. They get the ball. They throw an interception. So this is where their running back, I don't know what they were doing here. Running back throws it. It's kind of like that pick we had in the Arkansas State game where he just throws it straight to our dude. Miguel Mitchell makes a play. Anybody could have made that play. Then we get the ball, right? And in 4 plays, off of several chunk plays, Taylor Green has a 15-yard pass to Jaden Platt. Taylor Green has a 29-yard pass to Jaden Platt. So this guy's just dominating this drive. And then we get a 1-yard touchdown run by Mike Washington Jr. We're up 28-10. So they essentially outscore us 22-3 the remainder of the game. We give them the ball back with a minute 35. So this is where we're going to take a small break right here, right? So it's a minute 35. We're up 28-10. You have a shot to stay at a 3 possession lead. And the defense just absolutely screws it up. And here's how it goes. So they get the ball to 25. Negative 3-yard pass. And then we had a 15-yard penalty and a pass interference call on us. Well, then that moves them up 15 yards. They eventually get an 8-yard pass and then a 17-yard run from Sutton Smith, who's their backup running back, remind you. He's been their starter throughout the season, but it's because their starter's been hurt, and he had an absolute game against us. They call timeout. Now they're at the Arkansas 38. He throws an incompletion, and then we throw, and this is where I don't want to blame the refs because at the end of the day, we lost this football game on ourselves. But that 38-yard touchdown pass to Cortez Braham at the end of the half, that was a big momentum boost for them. And I don't think it ultimately is what won them the game, and the fact that they scored only 1 more point than us, and this is worth 7. But that is a blatant offensive pass interference on Cortez Braham. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The broadcast talked about it. The guy they have come in and talk about officiating on the broadcast as well mentioned the same thing. Like they all thought this was offensive pass interference. And not only did they not call it, they called it on us, defensive pass interference, somehow on Julian Neal. And that really, to me, was the first momentum change in the first spot where I was like, okay, this is a little dicey. But even after that, I was like, that's a fluky play. It's not what's going to ultimately change the trajectory of this game. And I don't think it was the full trajectory change right there. But I do think that was the start of it. So they only had a minute and a half getting that ball. And on that play, they were able to score a touchdown. We go 3-and-out. It's not that big of a deal. And essentially, that half ends pretty much after that. So 28-17, they're within 11. So it's technically still a 2-possession game with a field goal even in that spot. You're down 8 points and 11 points total. So they're the team that then gets to start off the half. And knowing Arkansas too, I was like, maybe Memphis is just going to go straight out and score, and this is going to quickly turn around fast. But that didn't happen. So they had a 5-play drive and punted. And I thought at this point, okay, that's what we needed. If we were going to stop that momentum they had at the end of the half, we got to come out defensively and keep them from scoring. And we did. Then we got the ball. 3 plays, 3-and-out. So then Memphis gets it. Then they go down the field, couple of big chunk plays, an 18-yard run from Brendan Lewis, who we seem to not be able to stop in the second half. 15-yard pass to their actual starting running back. And then an 8-yard run that was short of the chains. They were 4th and 13, 47-yard field goal. This guy actually makes it this time. And they've got now 3 more points. It's a 1-possession game. It's 28-20. So it's still as an Arkansas fan watching, I'm like, let's just go score. Like, I don't feel like we're doing that bad, but we're just slowly letting them in. Then we get the ball. 8-play drive, couple of chunk plays here. Taylor Green had a 17-yard pass to Raylan Sharp. We had that 40-yard pass to Rohan Jones. Then we kind of shut down 7-yard loss, 2 incompletions. We decide, here we go, 4th and 17 at the Memphis 28. Let's get Starzik out there. I'm glad he was able to kick that and make it, give him a little redemption after that tough Ole Miss game for him. It's 31-20. We're back up 11, right? This is essentially where we were at the end of the half. We're just now almost 15 minutes later. So I feel better, okay? Then they get the ball. We kick it off. They have a 40-yard chunk play from Brendan Lewis pass to Marcelo Bousset. Tough play there. Brendan Lewis gets a 10-yard run. They have another 12-yard pass. And then we let Brendan Lewis get in the end zone on a 10-yard touchdown run. And this is close to the end of the third quarter, minute 40. Now it's a real football game, right? It's 31-26. They have the opportunity to go for 2 because that'll allow them to just be a field goal away. Good knockdown by Larry Worth III. It's 31-26. No 2-point, right? So then we have it, and this is a spot we know we need to go get points. So I'm going to set the scene here. Into the third quarter, essentially. We start this drive at the beginning, or with a minute 40 left in the third quarter. But we're essentially in the last 15 minutes of this football game, 16 minutes. We're up 5. We have the ball, and we have a chance to, at the very least, get points on the board and maybe score a field goal to make this an 8-point game. But if we are able to score a touchdown, we can make this a 2-possession game. We get the football. First play from that offensive holding, 10 yards. Next play, 42-yard pass to Jalen Brown. That was a beautiful pass from Taylor Green. We're in Memphis territory, 43-yard line. Braylon Russell, 2-yard run, incomplete pass by Taylor Green. Then 15-yard pass, Omega Blake. We're at the Memphis 26. So this actually is where the fourth quarter starts. We get the ball. Taylor Green throws an incompletion. We have a 4-yard run from him, and then we throw an interception right there on the third down. We're at the Memphis 22, and he throws it just straight to the dude, straight to Kamari Wilson, who was the guy who intercepted it for Memphis. And it's one of those that, like, I'm sure Arkansas fans that hear me say how Taylor Green is the reason we're winning football games, 2 of them, and the reason we're even in some of these football games that we do ultimately lose, I'm sure their counter argument is plays like this, where it's like, yes, that is the truth to some degree, but he's also the guy that throws boneheaded picks that aren't even, and I was talking about this earlier, that aren't even like good picks, right? And there's not necessarily a good interception. An interception is a turnover. It's kind of an oxymoron. But there's interceptions that you watch as from a quarterback that you're like, honestly, Brendan Lewis threw one. He's going to throw one later. It's literally right after this. He throws one deep. Julian Neal makes a heck of a football play, high points the football, and catches it instead of their receiver. That's a heck of an interception, right? It's not the best pass by the quarterback, but that's also a spot where you're like, give credit to the corner. Taylor Green doesn't have those interceptions. His interceptions are plays that he immediately wishes he has back because he throws it straight to the defender. And it's just like this. The first interception was a boneheaded pass. The throw was like the guy did still have to make a play on it, but like it was just like, you don't throw that football. This one, he throws it straight to Kamari Wilson, and they get an interception. And at that moment, it's like, okay, they just scored a touchdown to get within 5. Now they pick it off. We've got to make a stop here. They run 3 different plays, all run plays, and then Brendan Lewis throws the deep ball, and Julian Neal gets the interception, like I just said. That's huge. That's that spot where, again, coming out of the half when we were able to get a stop, I'm like, okay, maybe the defense is making strides here. Same play here. I'm like, maybe the defense is making strides here. We're able to get this interception. At the end of this interception, there is 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, so still plenty of time. But I'm like, okay, that's exactly what we needed. Then the next play comes. And this is the drive that I'm going to probably put the most emphasis on, rather than the last drive that we had offensively, which, like, everybody knows what happened there. But I'm going to take you through this drive. We get the ball off the interception at our own 27. Taylor Green gets a 4-yard run. We throw a 4-yard completion to Mike Washington. And then Taylor Green gets an 18-yard run, and now we're in Memphis territory. 47-yard line on their side of the football, or on their side of the field. Then Mike Washington gets it, no gain. Taylor Green, 4-yard pass to Omega Blake. Then Taylor Green had an 8-yard run. It gets taken back from offensive holding, another penalty we see in the second half. Taylor Green able to get past that 12-yard pass to Omega Blake. We're at the Memphis 33, first down. There's 8:04 to go. incomplete pass, 2-yard run, Mike Washington Jr. We're at 3rd and 8. So this is where I want to pause. 3rd and 8, there's 7 minutes to go. You're up 5. A field goal in this situation, which 3rd and 8, Memphis 31. Right now, this is a 48, 49-yard field goal. Scott Starzik has missed this field goal, but he's also made essentially this field goal just earlier in this game. This is a spot where you don't want a sack. Like, that's the last thing you want, right? You want a positive play would be awesome, right? A first down is awesome. But worst case scenario, we're going to throw away the football and we're going to throw an incomplete pass. Taylor Green runs. He turns around to make one of his, like, if you've ever seen him play in the pocket, the moment that player comes, he's going to turn around and he's going to essentially pivot to one of the two sides of the field and get that guy to have to kind of run around him. He turns, he goes to pivot, he falls, and we get a sack. Then it goes from 3rd and 8 to 4th and 17. And we're at the 40-yard line of Memphis. So this is a essentially 58-yard field goal. Well, that's too far for Scott Starzik. And that was that play right there. You can't have that sack. You can't have that sack with 6:58 in the game. And like, you don't want a field goal. It's not ideal, but like in that situation, you can't have a sack. And I know he slips and he falls, and maybe he would have made a play out of that. But like, you can't for anything have a sack there, because if he may miss the field goal, truly, but if he throws that ball away or throws an incomplete pass, whatever it is, and we're still stuck there and it's 4th and 8 at the Memphis 31, Scott Starzik makes this field goal. Essentially, we win this football game, right? Because they're going to end up missing this 2-point conversion. We can't have that happen there. Like, you can't have that sack happen. Ultimately, then Devin Bale gets to punt, and we down at the Memphis 6. So if we're going to have to punt it, that's about as good of a punt as you could have got, right? It'd be, I mean, the 1-yard line would be the best, but the 6-yard line's pretty dang good. Let's keep going. 6:18 in the game. The first play from scrimmage, post punt, right? They're at their own 6-yard line. A 22-yard run by Brendan Lewis. Like, he just gets right through them and has no problem getting way more than a first down, right? So now Memphis goes from the 6 to the 28-yard line. Throws an incomplete pass, 8-yard pass, and then they've got the ball, and it's 3rd and 2 at the Memphis 36. And it's a spot where I'm like, and mind you, 4:51 on the clock. So if we can get a stop here, they're down, 5 points. If, let's say, they throw an incomplete pass, or if they run it and they get stuffed, it's 4th and 2. 4th and 2 with probably about 4.5 to go. You have to really make a decision as a team. What do we do here? Are we going to punt it away and hope our defense shows up for us, or are we going to go for it? And it's going to be at our own 36. And I was hoping we were going to get the chance to put him in that position. Not at all. They give it to Sutton Smith. This is their backup running back who's been their starter for the last couple of weeks. And he runs a 64-yard touchdown. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And they take the lead, 32, and they're not able to convert the 2-point conversion. And I said earlier they went for 2, and Larry Worth batted down. I believe that was actually this one. Larry Worth bats it down. I don't remember what the ending of that 2-point was the first time, but this was the Larry Worth bat down, and we keep it within 1. So this is a spot where we have a chance to win the game. Still, plenty of time. I mean, we're getting the ball with 4:51, but a field goal or a touchdown wins this football game. So we get the football. We're down 31-32. First play incomplete. Second play, and they said this on the broadcast, and it was quite funny because it literally happens the moment they say it. Jesse Palmer is talking about, we got to get back to running this football. And Mike Washington Jr. specifically is who he calls out. But 17-yard run, huge. 7-yard pass from Taylor to Omega Blake, then a 12-yard run from Mike Washington Jr. So the running offense immediately, Jesse Palmer mentions it on the broadcast, and we immediately get to going. Almost 30 yards of running right there on this drive. Then a 10-yard pass to Mike Washington. Single-handedly, Mike Washington is the one taking us down the field. Then a 9-yard run by Mike Washington. And then it goes to the 2-minute warning. And they mentioned this on the broadcast as well. And it's just one of those, and it's moments like this, watching this football game, ultimately knowing we lose this football game, talking through this, that you're embarrassed as a Razorback fan, and you truly are watching this and going, is Sam Pittman the guy? Like, is he actually the guy that has a chance to have us win key football games? And this is not even like, I mean, I talked about it last week. The 8 games after this, 7 of them are against currently ranked teams. So like, this is not, as much as this may be a team that's in the college football playoff this year because they're the group of 5 representative, this is not a like premier football team. This is a team that even on the road, clearly we were favored. We should win this football game. So it's 2-minute warning. We come out of the 2-minute warning. 12 players go on the field, and we get called for an illegal substitution penalty. And it's just like they said on the broadcast, how do you have that happen? Right? And that may not be the difference between us winning this football game and not winning this football game. But like, how do you have that happen? You can't have that happen. So then we get backed up. It was 2nd and 1. That was the play, 2nd and 1. 2nd and 6, Mike Washington gets an 8-yard run. So ultimately, that penalty meant nothing. Like, it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But it's one of those that you just see plays like that over and over, and we've seen it throughout Pittman's time, where it's like, how do you have that penalty? Like, how do you that is a coaching penalty. And to me, even some, like, offensive line stuff, like, it is on the player. But, like, there's some coaching element to it where it's like, we need to have a little more of a disciplined football team. This one is a pure coaching problem. Like, you can't have this penalty. So we make up the penalty with an 8-yard run. Mike Washington gets a first down. Another 8-yard run from Mike Washington. It's 2nd and 2. They've called, I think, a timeout after this one. They used their first timeout. And it's a minute 22 to go in the game. And then just like last week when Jaylen Brown fumbles the football late in a drive to possibly take the lead and win the football game, Mike Washington Jr., who's had an excellent drive. I wouldn't say an excellent game. He hadn't played well. We didn't really run the football well. Braylon Russell was fine, but he didn't have a lot of touches. Mike Washington Jr. fumbles the football. And on the broadcast initially, they call it down, and then it's clear replay, like he fumbles the football. And you just instantly go, and this is at least for me, I'll speak for myself as a fan, like you just are instantly like, I've been here before. And not only was last week the same way, like that's the like the true it genuinely did happen last week. Like the deja vu of it is like, no, we don't have to look that far back to understand that this was exactly what happened last week. And I talked about it last week. Like we could have ultimately still lost that football game to Ole Miss, but it's one of those you just want to continue to have a chance to win the game, right? And we'll be probably equally as bummed out if we scored the touchdown against Ole Miss and then they drive down and they kick a field goal with no time remaining and beat us. Same play here. Like if we score a touchdown, let's say he runs it in on that play. There's still a little over a minute. They would need a touchdown, but it's not out the realm of possibility that they go down and score a touchdown. But it's severely less likely than it would have been last week with Ole Miss. Ole Miss possibly could have won that football game, even if we had scored. But it's one of those moments that whether it's a fumble in the red zone, like it was last week and like it was this week, it's another moment where it's like you've just seen Sam Pittman and this Razorback football team fall short, give up leads, have crucial turnovers, and ultimately lose football games that you shouldn't have lost, or like the Ole Miss game last week, where we're not even favored to win that football game. You put yourself in a position to win a game that you weren't supposed to. And it's just truly the heartbreak hog mantra where it's like you continue to, I don't know if tease is the right word, but like tease the fans and tease even your own players with the possibility to win, and we ultimately come up short. And then lastly in this game, to end out this kind of quarter by quarter, drive by drive analysis, Memphis gets the ball. It's a minute 13. We have all three of our timeouts. So the game's technically not over. Same way with Ole Miss. It wasn't technically over. We get a 2-yard stop and they have a 4-yard run. So it's 3rd and 8, and they bring in their backup because their quarterback's helmet came off. So it's 3rd and 8 at their own 9. So like let's say you don't know if they're going to throw or run it. At the moment they brought in their backup quarterback because of Brendan Lewis losing his helmet, I figured they were going to run this football, even if it was with their quarterback, just because you don't want to put that quarterback in a spot where he hadn't thrown all day to have to make a play to ultimately save the game. And so at that moment, I'm like, okay, they're probably going to run the football. There could be a minute left. So let's say if they fall short, let's say they get 4 yards, but they don't get the first down. It's 4th and 4. We call timeout, minute left. They have to punt. It would have been in their own red zone, like so at the 13-yard line. We would have probably got the ball, let's say somewhere around our own 40. Our own 40 with about 50 seconds left and only needing a field goal. So if we're at our own 40, to me, let's say Scott Starzik's gonna make it from 45. That's about the 30-yard line-ish. Let's say the 30-yard line's the spot. We need 30 yards in about 50 seconds. And this is college football, mind you. So every time you get the first down, the clock stops until you reset the play. That's very doable. Like we have one of the more potent offenses in the entire country, and they talked about that throughout the game. And we've shown that even throughout this game. I think we would have gotten it. Like I think we would, or at least had the possibility to do so. 30 yards, that's 2 Taylor Green passes. That's a couple of big, like we weren't going to run it. So it's a couple of big passes, and you're at a spot where you clock it and you have a shot to win a football game. because ultimately you're down 1 point and a field goal wins. So let me take you back. We're at 3rd and 8. They're at their own 9. If their backup quarterback comes in, and this is a spot where I'm like, genuinely, I think we have a shot here. Their quarterback, it's a RPO kind of style play. It's an option run. He's going to keep it. He runs and he essentially makes contact with his own offensive line and our defensive line and our linebacker about halfway through it. So about 4 or 5 yards left still to get the first down. And I'm like, okay, we're going to stop him right here. And we just are trying to punch out the ball slash aren't even like we're just holding him and he just barrels through. It's one of those like I was hoping just as a fan immediately they were going to like call the play dead, but that wasn't the case. And because he really hadn't even gotten stopped up that much and just goes right through and gets the first down. And it's that moment too, again, watching the football game, you're just like, do we even want to win? Like, you have to make that stop. It's a critical stop. Brendan Lewis is not even the one that's in. Ian Jeff Gerard makes contact. Steven Dix make contact. Several players make contact with the dude easily to tackle him and just let him go right through. And then that's the moment you lose the game. And like I said, we may not have gotten the ball and gone and scored a field goal. Like we could have gotten it and Taylor Green throws a pick, or we could throw a couple of completions and their defense ultimately holds us. But it's like you've got to continue to give yourself a chance. And through fumbles, through and this happened in the Ole Miss game, but Ole Miss won like it just wasn't as bad because it's a more talented football team, and ultimately like we didn't make this play where it was like you had the dude behind the first down and you just let him run right through. But it's multiple defensive plays where you just let them have it, and you can't do that. So I don't want to continue to barrel on. This has already been a 28-minute rant of how much I'm disappointed in how we played and how this is not something that we're used or new to, like we're very used to. But to give you some actual content and some actual takeaways from this game, these are the 3 spots to me where because of these either 3 players or 3 position groups or 3 sides of the football's play, we ultimately lost this football game. And like we'll start with number 3 and we'll work our way up to 1. Number 3, I did this last week with Jalen Brown being number 3, but I'm gonna put Mike Washington at number 3 because you do have to hold accountable what happened. And Mike Washington Jr., he had a good drive, and that kind of inflated his numbers. I'll tell you his numbers: 15 carries for 70 yards, 2 catches for 14, and a touchdown. Um, I bet he had probably not quite half, but close to half of those yards going into that drive. But he's ultimately the guy that fumbled the football. And you've gotta give credit where credit's due, and you also gotta have accountability where accountability is due. And just like I gave the same, note to Jalen Brown last week, I'm gonna apply that same blame to Mike Washington Jr. here. And to me, he's the 3rd reason why we lost this football game. Like, he's gotta be able to hold on to that football. He holds on to that football, we win. And that's just truth of the matter. So truly, like, we've gotta show up in that spot and hold on to the football. And it's tough. It sucks. I hate it for him. I hated it for Jalen Brown last week. But you've got to make that play. Number 2, and I'll throw an honorable mention in because I really have 4 that I want to share. To me, the 4th one is Taylor Green. You can't throw that interception in that 4th quarter play, like as bonehead as it was, and you can't take that sack. Like I wanted to put him higher because I thought his lows were lower than some of the other 2 groups maybe I'll mention before this, but it's also his highs were way higher. Like he was the reason I truly believe that we were in this football game. We've been in football games this year. If we were on a more talented team, like he would legit be a Heisman candidate. He had almost 400 yards of offense in this game. But those 2 interceptions are crucial, especially the second one in the 4th quarter and that sack. Like you don't make that sack, we have a field goal, and you could make the argument with that field goal, we win this football game. So I truly believe that Taylor Green's got to be assigned some blame. It's just I think it kind of negates a little bit with how well he played on offense. So he'd be my 4th guy. So 4th Taylor Green, 3rd Mike Washington Jr., and number 2 to me is the defense. And I hate lumping them all together because there were guys on this defense, and I'll kind of break it down a little bit here that played well. Specifically Quincy Rhodes Jr. This is his numbers: 2 sacks of the 3 we had, 4 tackles for loss of the 8 we had. 2 sacks and 4 tackles for loss is ridiculous. Like that's incredible. Like this is a dude, and I even talked about it, so you could probably look at it. At the beginning of the season, I talked about how I thought the defensive line would be the best unit on this defense. We've had a poor defense, so it's hard to even assign a good unit. But I talked about how Quincy Rhodes Jr., along with a couple other guys, Justice Boone, Philip Lee, who I don't know how well they did in this game. No, yeah, it doesn't look like they had a lot of tackles for loss or sacks. Um, yeah, so it really Danny Saley had a tackle for loss, but I talked about Quincy Rhodes Jr. specifically and how these guys as a collective had the ability to match or exceed the value that we had from Landon Jackson last year. And I think I was wrong a little bit because I think Quincy Rhodes Jr. single-handedly may be doing that. Like, this is a guy who had 3 sacks going into this game, he has now 5. I don't remember what Landon Jackson's season sack total was last year, but I think he'll probably beat it. Like, I think Quincy Rhodes Jr. is legitimate NFL draft prospect and may even get drafted in the same range-ish as Landon Jackson. Like, Landon Jackson was a third-round pick last year. So, like, he's just been so good. So I hate hating on all of the defense. Quincy Rhodes Jr. played well. I thought Bradley Shaw played well. 4 tackles, 5 total tackles. Quincy Rhodes Jr. also was our second leading tackler, which is not necessarily a good thing. But Bradley Shaw, 5 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. He played a lot more, I think, than Steven Dix Jr. did in this game. And Steven Dix Jr. is one of the guys I'm talking about when I talk about how bad this defense has been. He didn't play very well. He looks slow. He's missing tackles. He was one of the guys that missed a tackle at the end of that game. Like, I'm just one of our leading tacklers last year, and he just hasn't played well. And honestly, I didn't think Story played that well either. Shaw may be just like an expectation thing. I just didn't think to have as many expectations for how well he would play in today's game because he's one of our backup linebackers. But I thought he played well. Larry Worth played fine. Julian Neal, I think, is a legit secondary player. Once again, I don't want to blame the refs, but like that touchdown from Cortez Braham was not defensive pass interference on Julian Neal. If anything, it was offensive pass interference. Those guys played fine. Everybody else played terrible. Like, terrible. Steven Dix Jr., terrible. Jaheim Singletary, not great. Larry Worth III, coverage, eh. And we just, like, we weren't able to contain a running quarterback once again in back-to-back weeks. And Brandon Lewis is just like, Brandon Lewis and Trinidad Chambliss are the 2 guys that have wrecked our season from a defensive perspective and how they've thrown and run the football. Like, most college football fans don't even know who that is. And it's tough because it's Ole Miss and Memphis these past 2 weeks, but, like, we play so much more talented teams going forward. Like, how do we even have a shot? We play Notre Dame next week. We play Tennessee, Texas A&M, Auburn, Mississippi State, LSU, Texas, Missouri. Like, these are all like, a lot of those teams I just listed are ranked teams. The majority of them are. Like I said, 7 of the 8. If these guys can't get it done against Ole Miss and Memphis, and that's no disrespect on either of these 2 teams, like, they legit both are looking towards a possible college football playoff invitation. But at the same time, these are also probably 2 of the I'll at least say for Memphis, it's one of the 4 easiest games we have all season, and we just looked terrible again defensively, and we can't have that happen. So, to me, defense is number 2. I almost would put it number 1, but I kinda wanna make a statement with my number 1 reason why we lost, and it's Sam Pittman, and that's the coaching staff specifically, but specifically Pittman. It's the penalty out of the break. That's just it didn't ultimately hinder anything, but it's just like, what? It's the mentality of our defense and how when a spot to get the ball back, right? And Taylor Green, yeah, he made 2 interceptions. So as a defender, maybe you're a little bit mad that he's turned it over twice, especially one like towards the Memphis red zone where you're having to work harder than maybe you need to. But at the same time, like, dude's the reason why we're in these football games. And you have a spot to give him a chance to get that football back with less than a minute to go. No timeouts, sure, but just a field goal to win. And possibly around midfield, you're getting that ball. And you just let him go right through the first down line. Like, that's to me a coaching thing, right? You could say it's the defense. I mean, I think it is partially the defense, but that's a coaching thing. Like, if you have players that play like that, that's ridiculous. We talked about this from like a national perspective with Alabama in week 1 when they lose to Florida State, and there's guys on film jogging or like taking plays off. Like, that's a coaching thing. That's your defense, sure, because they're the players on the field, but that's a testament to how your coach is. And that's the same thing here. Like, to have a 11-point lead going into the second half against a legit team. Like, I don't want to continue to disrespect Memphis. They're a good football team, but they're not the best team we're going to play this year. To have that spot where you're up 11 and you continue to, it's not even like, it wasn't like a 2-drive thing where next thing you know, oh, they're up 31-28. No, they just inch by inch, drive by drive, play by play, just continued to eat into this game. Then interception by us here, a sack here, a 50-yard run given up here. It's just one of those, you let the game get away from you, And this is not a spot we're not going to fire him. And I don't think, given the schedule we have, unless we're just getting blown out and blown out and blown out, I don't think it's going to be a decision made until the end of the year. But it's one of those that, like, what? What? I talked about this a little bit, and I don't remember if I said it out loud or if it was something I was just thinking in my head to myself when we were talking about the schedule breakdown at the beginning of the year. And I talked about how I thought if we beat Ole Miss, it was actually to me, a greater chance that we would lose this Memphis game, almost just like as a hype. We win this game. Oh, then if we win against Memphis, we'll then be undefeated against Notre Dame. Maybe game day comes. Notre Dame's a good team. And we would look past this football game. And ultimately, that didn't happen because we lost Ole Miss. But in my head as well, and I may not have mentioned it, but I thought the same thing, almost the opposite side, where I'm like, if we lose this Ole Miss game and we're 2-1 and we've got Notre Dame ahead and we want to get back, but like almost the blow of a loss that could be close, and it was against Ole Miss. Like it was a blow of a loss at the end. Maybe we're down and we're defeated and we're in a spot where it's like, man, I don't know if we could beat Notre Dame. I don't even know if we could beat Memphis, and we ultimately lose this football game. Like I thought that was a possibility as well, and I didn't bet that. I didn't think that, and I ultimately picked us to win this game last week, and I picked us to win this game going into the beginning of the season. But it's one of those, like, it just hurts to lose this game to this team this way, in the same way we lost to Ole Miss last week, and it's just, man, it's tough. It's tough, and Arkansas fans out there, I'm sure you feel that same sentiment, and watch this game and just truly understand we've been here so many times. It's not just like what happened last week with Ole Miss, which hurts even more for this week, but it's like it's something we've seen continuously from Sam Pittman and this coaching staff and this team year after year, and it's just a brutal way to lose a football game. Just hurts. Truly just hurts. I'm gonna get out of here, but the last thing I just do want to mention, and I've talked about it pretty much every show that we've had here, just vocfb.com/shop. We've got a lot of merchandise out there. There's a lot of teams, but obviously I'm specifically speaking to the Arkansas Razorback fans. If you plug this in, vocfb.com/shop, there's a team drop down menu. You'll see Arkansas in there, and we've got a lot of different things. We got cups, shirts, the whole 9 yards. So check that out. It's a way you can support the show. I'll just mention it one more time, vocfb.com/shop. We've got a show this upcoming Monday. It's going to be around 5:30. We're going to be talking about this upcoming football game against Notre Dame. Is there even a shot? What's that spread going to be like? Is this even just a cover game? What's truly going to be the case? I'll talk a little bit about this game in terms of just some group grades, so offensively and defensively. I'm sure you'll see where I reside on that. Similar to last week, I talked about how the offense did great and the defense was an F. But it's going to be primarily talking about the Notre Dame game and how we're going to look like offensively and defensively, and where Notre Dame's been. They play Purdue today, so we'll see where they are at, because currently they're an 0-2 ranked football team somehow. So we'll see if they win. They'll probably remain ranked, I would think. But it's a big game, so we'll talk more about that on Monday. But for everybody here at the Voice of College Football Arkansas, have a great day. God bless, and go Hogs.